Well, hey there, my friends. Welcome back to the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm your host, Wendy Batten. This is episode 238, and we are getting to the end of 2024. And I'm pretty excited today to introduce you to a member of our Retailers Inner Circle. But before we do, I wanted to remind you or let you know about a few ways that we can help you make your 2025 really awesome. I promise. So Lisa's going to bring up in our conversation, she talks about our Design Your Best Year Ever workshop. That's a standalone workshop that you can go and grab. It's at my website at wendybatten.com. Or you can join us inside the Retailers Inner Circle program, and it's part of our program, or inside our Level Up Mastermind program. It's one of my core programs, and Lisa actually talks about it and it being one of her top resources. And she kind of threw me off. She pulls out, you end up with a one sheet of goals all in one page. And she pulled out her sheet and she had it with her, and she said she'd been carrying it all year and how helpful it has been to her. So I just wanted to give you a shout out and let you know that you too can go grab and design your best year ever. Do it with my workshop. If you don't take my workshop, that's fine, but make sure you spend time to sit down and figure out where you are going in 2025. What do you want from your business? How do you want it to serve you? What do you need to do to get where you want to go? These are the things we all do in the workshop. We do them inside the Retailers Inner Circle program as well. And it's just something that I think we all need to do. Okay, there's my plug for you to either join us inside the Inner Circle, the Level Up Mastermind group, or go just pick up the workshop on its own if you just want to do it for yourself. It's available for sale on my website as well. So do yourself a favor and make sure you are designing your best 2025. We call it design, not plan, because really it does come from a place of creating what you want to happen. That's why we call it a design, not necessarily just a plan for 2025. So let's start. Speaking of designers, I guess let's jump into our episode today with Lisa. So Lisa is a fantastic retailer from North Vancouver, BC. She's going to tell us a little bit about her background. She's going to tell us a little bit about where she's from, but she's a very dynamic, creative professional. She's a lover of all things beautiful. Lisa has years of experience as a residential interior designer. She has a wholesale home decor brand strategist and manager of retail operations for leading Canadian retailers. She has done it all, and her shop is beautiful. You're going to want to check out the Stylewell. She's also got a clothing store as well as a design studio. She's going to share all of that with us. This is one to listen to. I've been wanting Lisa on the podcast for quite some time, and I'm so glad we had some time to connect during this busy holiday season. So you're in for a treat, my friends, and let's welcome Lisa Wrixon to the podcast. Running a retail business doesn't have to be so hard. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast, the go-to podcast for creative shop owners, studio owners, and independent retailers. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, retail business coach and mentor. Each week, I'll share simple, proven business strategies, inspiring stories from fellow retailers, and advice from industry experts. Together, we're going to work to find the success you want from your retail business with more profits in your till and a little more joy in your life. Well, thank you, Lisa, for being here on the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I am so excited to have you here. I've been wanting to have you on the podcast for ages, so thank you.
Thank you. I'm a big fan, Wendy, and you've helped me a lot, so I'm excited to talk to you one-on-one.
In this series, I have been having the greatest conversations with retailers that I really admire. And I watched you before you joined the Inner Circle. And I would say watch. Now I feel like that's kind of stalkerish sounding.
Okay.
Because I love what you do. So can you tell us who you are and what do you do, Lisa?
What do? I am in North Vancouver, British Columbia, and I have two shops. And the one shop that we talk most often about is the Stylewell, which is in a small village, probably not as small as where you are, Wendy, but a small community called Edgemont Village at the base of the mountain in North Vancouver. And it's a house and home decor shop. I call it the Stylewell because it's the shop and source for a life well style. And I feel I cater to my community, offering them pretty stuff. Pretty simple.
Pretty stuff. That's great marketing. No, I know you love
Yeah,
to use my.
exactly.
Okay, so there's more to that. So how did you become a shop owner? Can you tell us the journey from, was it always a dream? Can you tell us a little backstory on how did.
Sure. I'm sure it was always a dream because I just love shopping, as most of us do, but I was always akin to a certain vibe or a certain look. I went to university for art history, and part-time job became one of necessity at the body shop. And by the time I graduated, there were no jobs in art history. So I got a call from head office and started working in their merchandising department in Body Shop Canada out of Toronto, and ended up working as part of their business development team. And I'd travel. I think I did 100 shops in 18 months, and I'd travel back and forth and working with retailers predominantly. And at the time, I was very young. I think I was 25, but there was a program basically set out with the retailers to help them run their business. And I was basically helping them implement those programs and helping them audit those programs. So I didn't know how much that would really help me as to where I am now. Fast forward, I did retail operations for Eaton's, retail operations for Pretty Chocolates, and ended up constantly in this retail world. Became a mom at 33. Prior to that, went to BCIT to do my interior design because that was something I thought I would really want to do as I transitioned into my 30s. Ended up staying home for 17 years as a stay-at-home mom. Helped all my friends and family choose paint colors at the same time, buying vintage, traveling to Europe with my family, and doing wonderful life stuff, but not really working. And then, as you can relate, once your kids get a little bit older, then there's a little bit more me time. And I got a wonderful job that I found on Craigslist for a wholesale company called Indaba Trading. And Canadian retailers and North American retailers would definitely know them. Pretty big in the home decor cycle. Would run all their trade shows in Atlanta, Las Vegas, Toronto, Dallas. So again, full circle moment. But prior to that, when I was doing my home stuff, I saved the URL, the Stylewell, just Pinterest board, GoDaddy account, and just thought maybe one day I could do my own thing, not really knowing what that was. And that was, fast forward, a spot became open in my village that I coveted. It was COVID, so I wasn't traveling with Indaba anymore. And I opened my shop 4 years ago.
Well, I did not know all of that. That's pretty.
It's a big
So
thrill.
many cool things about. So the retail operation training that you did with the body shop and you did merchandising for Indaba. Is that what you did with Indaba?
Yeah, and became brand strategist for them. So, and then definitely helped them with, I still have a relationship with them, which I'm very proud of, is definitely product development, right? Just they have a great vision and a great global eye. And then I think I can help with the minutia, and because I'm on the front line now, right?
That's fabulous. I mean, how has that helped what you're doing now to the success?
Oh, I
Like,
think
what
I think you
tools have you
preached
brought
it.
in? Yeah.
Yeah, the front of house versus back of house. I think that's a relationship you preach and I understand very well. I am my best client. I open the shop for me because I couldn't find what I wanted. And now I constantly, in a selfish way, I guess, service myself in my product assortment. So I definitely know I have a really strong eye for what is needed out there, or what I really zone in on my gut and what I want to represent. And maybe I create the need. So the front of house, the aesthetic is very much a priority for me. But then balancing that with my back end experience is basically shop operations. I'm probably more simplistic and not as sophisticated as I could and should be, but I at least understand it and I can speak to it, I think, in a basic way that helps me run my shop.
I don't think there's anything wrong with simplicity. I don't know why we beat ourselves up about it. I like truly, I just actually had another conversation with another retailer. Like, I probably should be doing this. Like, I don't think it has to be complicated as long as we're making the right moves, right? And if we're profitable and we're happy, those are pretty good things. So are you
Exactly.
profitable and are you happy?
Yes.
So
So far, so good.
it doesn't have to be, yeah, I know. So tell us how big the shop is, because it's not a big
The
shop.
shop is 50 square feet, so it's just a little bitty baby.
And I did hear you say, you just said, I shop what I want, like, what feel, and I don't always recommend that. And I say that because we have to have the eye for the client, which I feel like you probably are, your client is probably adapted to you. Like you're your
Yeah.
client. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying that for those that are listening and they're like, I want to buy, like, if we don't have clients, if we don't buy for our clients, we just have a pretty shop. We have a hobby, right? So,
Well, yeah, if first and foremost, if it didn't work, say no one came in, then I would just close the doors personally. I wouldn't bring in another line or something trying to do a shop. I'm a shop owner because I want to represent this look and this style that I felt was missing from the market that I did see in other places. Like when you travel to Southern California or you travel to Italy, or I'd be always like, well, this cool shop has this cool stuff and we don't have it here. So there's a bit of where I was pushing it, or I do push it the look a little bit, which again, I hear what you're saying and I don't recommend that to everyone, but I think I'm probably overconfident in my ability to bring what I think the market wants. I'm willing to take some risks, maybe, on 10% of my inventory buy and watch that closely, obviously from a business perspective. But honestly, if I couldn't bring the stuff in that I wanted to bring, I probably wouldn't have a shop. I probably
well,
help other people with their shops, maybe.
yeah, I see that. I think that you're not alone. I think a lot of people feel that way too. So if all of a sudden, everybody wants you to just start selling snow tires and that's all that sells, we're not like internally in the inner circle, I always talk about snow tires being like that random outlier that like what? But yeah, so yes, of course, we have to sell what we align with and what we believe in and what we care about and what's profitable. So, we have to watch our margins and, all the things. So your shop is beautiful. It is very pretty. I know you love that word. You love to make
Yeah, pretty things.
it's pretty things. I feel like and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like your business mission isn't to sell pretty, just to sell pretty things. I feel,
Oh,
yeah, there's a lot more going on there. I've
yeah.
been following you for a while and
Yeah.
and working
Yeah,
with.
I'm big, and I think that's why I resonated with what you offered. I'm big on engagement. I'm I like people. I really do. I really genuinely like to help people, and my service is I think I can direct them in the way of making good choices for their home. This is very superficial what I deal with, but I think it means something and it resonates with people when you go home and put that pretty vase, and I say pretty because that's just the only word I have for it, but when you put that nice vase or that lovely vase on your shelf and it makes a difference in your home, therefore it makes a difference in how you enter your home and it makes a difference how you feel in your home. So I think I always had the mandate was to enhance the lives of others with pretty things in a pretty environment, but I also want to engage with them as a person and as a community. And I also have a really good design community that I've cultivated too, where a lot of designers come and I help them source things. And that's a big deal to me too, because I wasn't always the direct part of that community. I was kind of on the periphery, just doing my own little thing. And now I feel I'm pretty much a meaningful piece in that cog and in my little bubble. And then I also want to encourage people to take risks, to choose that pillow that's a little bit different, to bring, and they're constantly on their phones, obviously with Instagram. And if they see something that resonates, then I'm like, kind of, well, let's see how you want to get there in your own home. And so I just do that on a regular day. And then in turn, that brings in repeat business, creates a community that I love to be part of, and allows me to be sustainable in my little world.
Yeah. I think that's the different maker, especially going against, I don't want to say the big boxes, but the big guys and going through the future. Like I truly believe like 2025, and I call it a trends. It's not a trends report, but like what's going to matter in 2025. I don't know what we're going to call it, but every year I do a podcast on where I think we should be focused. And I feel like it's kind of redundant to tell you and a lot of our listeners we have to care about people. Like that's what so I feel that you actually care about your community. I feel like a lot of our listeners do. We care about the service because it fulfills us too, right? Like
Oh,
that's me too. I'm not just coaching people. I'm like, I so care about like the outcome and the ripple effect of that pretty
exactly.
odds being on somebody's foyer when they come in, and then knowing that that makes them smile and makes them feel good and it's encouraging and it's confidence building and I don't know, whatever, all the things, right? So I think you do a beautiful job.
Oh, thank you.
I also think you do a beautiful job. You use your shop for, I'm making assumptions because I know we've talked about this, but I
Yeah,
also
yeah.
your story, but you use your shop for community. You do community events. I've seen
Mhm.
and book readings and intuitive read. Like, is that part of your planning, or is that just happening organically?
I tap into what, again, I think I like, and then I try and broaden that reach. So I offer it if it resonates with them. The interior design book club definitely has been one of those things that I started in the shop, and then where I am today now, I'm in our studio. So we've taken on a third space, which is a space that we can actually do bigger groups, because it became, I needed storage. I was working on a third idea for vintage furniture, and I can't fit all that in my 400 square feet. So I've kind of, and it was becoming a little bit of a hassle to move things around to accommodate people. So I wanted to kind of blend that. So that's just down the road. But definitely the shop is used for events. At both shops, I've done intuitive events. We're doing facial events at my other shop, Lewellyn. I've done wreath making events. I do pop-ups, but all within the small lens of what works within my vision. Like I have, I'm sure with you too, you see it. I have different makers and people who want to do events with me. And I kind of go, it's lovely what you do, but I don't think it's quite the fit with what I do. And I usually suggest 10 other options that they could go through. I'm very free flowing with my information to help other people do well, but I'm also very narrow in what I think should happen in my space.
Yes. And so tell us about the other spaces. So, and by the way, I will say, I feel like you are very generous with your
Oh,
knowledge. And I think that being generous is a missing, I don't know, a missing thing in the world right now. People are hoarding information, people are hoarding support. I don't know. I feel like I started off my whole coaching program being generous because
yes.
somebody literally told me. I was asking a question in a group one time in a vendors group, and I said, hey, how are you guys, what are you using for POS system? I don't know, whatever the question was.
Yeah.
And the answer I got back from more than one experienced retailer was, we figured it out, you can figure it out. Like, I was like, whoa, okay. So that's why I started building my community from that same generosity. And I see that, I see you doing that. So tell us about these spaces that you have. So you have more than one business. The Style Well, and
Yeah.
you have a beautiful clothing that I can't wait till you're online with.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. And that's the other thing. I don't do much online, but I do my own Instagram. But going back, I always say two things: your vibe attracts your tribe, and you get what you give. And if
Yeah.
you don't get those are my messages. And maybe it takes a 56-year-old woman to get there versus a 25-year-old woman. But I totally preach that. So I have the Style Wheel, which I've had for 4 years. And then around the corner, because I love my community so much, there was another cute space that was opening. And I had a woman that I work with. She was a supplier or a vendor of mine, and we became close. And her background was in fashion. And I said to Natalie, this is Natalie, my business partner for Lewellyn. I said, would you want to be part of my other business, which is Lewellyn, which is so the Style Well, and then Llewellyn is just a riff off that name, Lowell and Llewellyn. So we kind of use it as a verb, is you're Llewellyn. And everyone asks if I'm Welsh, and it's not Welsh. It has nothing to do with that. But again, the mantra is just pretty stuff that I couldn't find: clothing, scarves, local sweaters, jewelry from friends that are makers, skincare, hair care, just groovy stuff under the lens of women jewelry,
Yeah.
accessories, or fashion. And literally there's two shops around the corner, but you can know that I own it, or you don't need to know that I own it. But I do promote them, cross promote them. We call them sister shops.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was your shop for the longest time, which
I
is
know.
really,
And that's, yeah,
I get it because we've been working together. I was like, I did not realize that was your shop, but I do know you talk about, I just thought, oh, look at the collaboration and they're so cool. Like, it's so great. And I know you wear
yeah,
other,
and I guess, yeah,
yeah.
that's something you can probably coach me on. I don't know if I want to be, but if you're in one shop and then you come to the other shop, you can feel that they're both my shops, which is, I think, the biggest compliment. Like, I don't need to tell you, can just tell me that, oh, I was in your other shop.
Yeah.
So
I do like the word sister shop. I think that people want to, if they love where they are, I mean, here's some unsolicited marketing advice, but I really think that making sure that they go to the other shop, because I would feel almost cheat it if I didn't realize that you had another shop around the corner.
Oh, we definitely promote it on the shop floor.
Yeah,
Trust.
okay. I was gonna say, yeah, our other shop is what I would say, because if I'm in your shop and I already know, I mean, I already know, like I'm in your shop and I'm going to just feel all the feels. I know just because your shop is so beautiful and so well curated and merchandised and the whole thing. And then I would want to go to the clothing shop. So I mean, like you're going to want to do both. So
And like in a small community, if you have someone in your shop, well, what else are you doing today? Well, you should go for a coffee here. You should go visit this store and do the walkabout. And by the way, if you like this, you're going to like my other shop.
right, yeah, I think
Right?
this
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely needs to be. And then so the third place is the studio you just mentioned. So
Studio. Yeah. So it became a need. My warehouse was in my home. We were selling our home, so I needed to exit that. I had this vision of this beautiful garage door space where I could have vintage furniture and home decor pieces kind of on a quarterly basis. And maybe eventually I travel to Italy and France and I bring back pieces. But and then also we wanted to have the workshop space, and that's where I am today. And I'm looking around because it makes me so happy because it's literally 6 minutes from Edgemont Village where our shops are. And we've done a couple of warehouse events, we've done a couple pop-up events, and we've moved all of our workshops here. So we've done a better business plan with a bedside business plan book author. We have wreath making coming up. We have had pottery. We've had jewelry making. We've had vintage product. And we've done one warehouse sale, which was really good. So maybe I'll have to do another one, but I try not to have excess inventory to sell at a warehouse sale. So,
but you could bring in inventory for your warehouse.
well, we're talking about that one for Lewellyn, and we're going to do a fashion one for sure.
It can't just be clear. It's not a warehouse sale doesn't have to be a clearance sale.
No,
Just
exactly. And that's kind of I get that from you too. I don't like the idea of sales, and I don't promote lightly. So when I do, I think people value that it's going to be good, it's going to be well priced, and it's going to be one day only because we blow that stuff out rather quickly.
right. Yeah. And I know I get a bad rap about me not sharing about sales. Sales are fine if they're planned and they're not expected by our clients, right? Because then we just train them to look for
Well,
sales.
and I even niche market that too. Like, like I think back to the customer base too. I don't need a whole zillion customers coming in for a sale. I like my customer base to repeatedly come back, and then I honor them by giving
Right.
them a discount for their patronage to me once in a while, maybe, or
Yeah.
I don't know, something
And
like that.
in the inner circle, so you're a member of our inner circle, which I'm very
Hmm.
grateful for. That's one of the things, that's one of my core principles, my core teachings is, you know, treating our people well. It's hospitality. I mean, that's why, again, what did you say? Your vibe attracts your tribe. So inside the inner circle, as a member of the inner circle, we share a lot, and I believe we can grow community with hospitality. We can grow community with curating, thinking about them and curating about what our customers want, which is you do exemplary. It's like beautiful what you do. So yeah, we want to value add to them. We want to give them gifts. We want to, you know, treat them well, and everybody's customer base is different. So an occasional discount, an occasional, rewards, whatever that looks like, I think is fine. But constantly marking our stuff down and trying to move it, and that's just a recipe in my that you're just chasing your price. If you're price dropping to just get customers, you're getting price dropping customers. That's the truth. That's the
Yeah, I think you're debasing the whole value of your business, unless that's your business. If you
right.
are like that, that's just not my business. And I don't think it's they can go to HomeSense or Amazon or buy the same thing, not, and I put that in quotes, it's not the same thing, but whatever that look is at a cheaper price, but they can't get me, they can't get my shop, they don't get our service, they don't get the smells, the taste, the music, the feel, the vibe. All that is part of service. And I don't
Yeah.
think that comes by discounting your product to get them in the door.
Yeah, that's totally I don't know, I just recently did a podcast on earning our customers loyalty.
Yeah.
And that hit a lot of nerves with a lot of people. And it actually came from a local retailer here who is, I think you two would be amazing friends. But anyway,
Oh, I
so,
love that.
but it's about earning, it's about caring about our customers, caring about our products, like the deep attention that you spend on your product purchasing. You're
Oh,
you're curating your merchandising, for our customers, right? And that comes down to our bottom line. There's a lot of people who don't do that. They're just like filling the shelves and so anyway, that's just a different type of shops, and
yeah.
your different types of shops.
Yeah.
Um,
If there comes a point when I don't care as much, then I would close my doors.
yeah.
It's that if there was a day that I didn't, I still don't feel like I go to work at all. I
Okay.
don't work.
Okay, let's talk about what do you find to be the hardest? So I know you work every day, you work in the shop. What is your role in the style wall right now?
Well, the shop is me, which I know we've had a little bit of discussion about because but I have two wonderful shop girls, one on Wednesday, one on Friday, and they help me out graciously because that allows me to have my CEO day, which is now spent at the studio, which is something you helped me vision. It's not as often, well, I guess no, I'm pretty good about it. But now I tend, because we're heading into the busier seasons, obviously I'm on the shop floor and there's two of us there. My shop can run with one person on the floor very easily. It's just if the till gets backed up. So that's what we're eliminating basically, because we sometimes have to keep people outside the shop if it gets too busy. So it's not a bad problem to have. But I am front of house. I'm a designer, so I people kind of want my opinion when they're coming in. So that is my role. I do all the buying. I do have people who help me with warehousing and receiving at the studio level now, which is something new for me. And then at Lewellyn, I have my partner Natalie, and we have two part timers at Lewellyn as well. But she basically is the face of Lewellyn and runs Lewellyn. I'm the face of the style wall. I run the style wall. We can interchange if we need to, if one goes on vacation. But I'm a shop girl,
Yeah, your shop.
proudly.
So yeah. And that's fine if it works into your day. And I'm
Mhm.
glad you got help. I know we had conversations and you're like, I can't have anybody else here. All
Exactly. No one
right.
else can run a tag ticket like I can. That's what I said to
I do believe you told me that nobody else could tag like you
you.
can tag.
I know. It's so silly.
It is kind of silly. We do get,
Yeah.
I mean, I I believe we had an in-depth conversation about that. Anyhow, what has been the most challenging part about stepping into the role of CEO? So you had a lot of training, you already had business operations or retail operations, you're curating, you're doing all these things. Where have the challenges lied in becoming the CEO and stepping into this retail business world?
I guess for me, it's probably the vulnerability of running a shop and hoping it's successful and making sure that it is. So it's me out there on a plate, like how you do every day. And if people get it, it means everything to me. If they don't get it, I'm a little bit sad. But that really hasn't happened. So I feel, I guess, my ego is filled and therefore my pockets are filled and my business is successful. So as long that's the challenge, I guess, in my mind, that I want to keep it successful and what all those metrics are for me, that people like it, that I'm making money and my doors stay open, and that's in a circle of success for me. So that's been the biggest challenge. I'm at a point in my life where I can work 100 hours a week if I want to, right? I can also close my doors for 2 weeks and travel, or have someone else run my shop. So getting that balance right, I think, is something else that I worked on when I planned my best retail ever with you, to really make sure that I close every long weekend, and I choose to close every long weekend because my community goes away too. It's not like I'm really missing sales on those days, and it gives me peace of mind. So understanding all those balances that work for me has probably been the biggest challenge. I couldn't do this if I was a mom raising my kids and doing what I had done 20 years ago, and it just wouldn't have worked. And so I think realizing that this happened for me at the right time, at the right place, and I'm very lucky to have it, and I'm really determined to make it successful, is I guess a challenge in a way that I'm ready to tackle.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't call it luck, by the way. I never call it luck. It's the opportunity at this
Got to
time.
be good to be lucky.
Yeah, well, be prepared, right? I mean, I think you bought a URL and you've been doing the work a long time ago. So you were waiting for it to evolve, waiting for it to appear,
Exactly.
things to happen. I don't think it's luck. Do you find what like do you where do you find and do you find any other challenges on the like how are you planning, I guess is where I like how are you planning to keep the customers coming in and to keep people happy? And is there a
Yeah,
metric you're
I
planning?
have a plan.
You just mentioned the best year ever, which is again in our inner circle.
Yep.
So it's funny because that is one everybody talks about. So I'm
Can
always,
I show you something, Wendy?
oh
There it
yeah.
is right there.
Oh,
My
look at
one pager.
you.
I
Oh,
carry it around everywhere I go. So when I make my notes, and it keeps me focused, and that's how I stay sane, I guess, or not in the weeds.
so you're carrying around your one pager. Oh, that makes me so proud. I'm like this proud mama right now or
Yeah,
something.
I was just, I'll cover the financial part, but here you go. There's, I don't know if you can see it, but that's,
Oh, that makes me so happy.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So it's being, go back to your question as far as planning goes. Yeah.
the
Um,
level.
yeah, I had big goals, right? That we set out in the best retail ever, which really helped me. And then I do my best to monthly plan out those goals. I'm not always as diligent. I'm probably quarterly. I'm better. I'm really good quarterly. I'm not really good monthly. As far as promotion calendars, they kind of come on a whim. I look at what I think I want to do based upon how my life is rolling out. My shop is so small. I can do that, right? But at the same time, I've come to a realization about customers is my Instagram is 5,000 customers. It's fully organic, never
Mhm.
chased anyone. I started doing some cross promotions with other designers and people who like me, and that works out well. But I realize if I just keep talking to those 5,000 Instagram customers, and I talk to my, say I have 8,000 regular customers in my database, I talk to them by email, I talk to them when they're in the shop, I look at their history, just see who's coming in, who's coming out. I feel my repeat business is around 60%, which is, I think, quite high. I just need to keep that same base coming in and in on a regular basis. So I feel I just need to attract more of the same. I don't need more customers necessarily. I need to treat my base right, and I need to find more of the same. And so my goals are always just, where do more of these customers live? A lot of them for me live on Instagram because it's a highly aesthetic vehicle. I don't think as many of them live on Facebook for me, even though that's intertwined, just because of the price point maybe of what I offer. Like a pillow is $120. That may be a lot for some people, maybe not. And that's a judgment I'm making that I have to investigate. And then the walk by traffic is a big deal for me too, because I still get people every day who walk in my shop saying they didn't know I was here.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
know shops were like 30 years in tiny communities, and people are like, I didn't know what you did in here, or that you. So that's always going to be a thing. I
Yeah.
do think that, again, if I can give some unsolicited coaching here,
Please.
that 40% new customer base. So we do want a solid repeat customer base, but we lose people by attrition no matter what. Like either they move or they downsize or whatever. That 40% we need to really keep an eye on that. So 60/40 is a really great ratio. Anything higher than 60, I always worry about if you want to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the one thing I have been playing with is a couple of new product, because
Mhm.
I feel, okay, say someone's come in for the last 2 years and they got all their pillows and they got all their vases, and now I'm becoming a gift store for them, which is kind of okay, but I really didn't open to be a gift store. I really wanted to be a home store. But then there's certain, maybe kitchen, maybe animals. These are little, things I've been testing. And then I definitely have the maker community that I work with too. Art is a big thing. I'm looking at fabric, furniture. So certain products.
We only have so much square footage, right? So
I
we have
do.
what's on the floor and who we're serving. So keeping that, and it's the retail funnel inside our inner circle. If you want to revisit that sometime, understanding your visibility strategies and different ways to build that visibility strategy, which is, I would tell you to do exactly what you do by having these workshops and meeting new people through collaborations, and who do your customers know? And you want more of your customers' friends, because
Yeah, I want more of the same.
their
That's
friends,
all.
their
Oh yeah.
friends, your friends, like.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so I don't able to invest in that. That's where we want to invest in our current customer base. Maybe invite a friend promotion, or I don't know. And there's all kinds of different things. And obviously,
Yeah,
you
well,
can't go
that's
into.
that's exactly it. Like, yeah,
We want their friends and
yeah.
people like them, exactly. So, but we also want to keep it fresh for them. I know it's always this challenge, but we don't
Well,
really want that
yeah.
whole lot more than 60% in a business like yours. simply because we always need the top of the funnel. We always need new customers to be coming in and discovering us and finding us and being excited by us. And because that keeps the flow going. So, and then they
Well,
become your
then,
baby. So yeah,
then
but
there's
that's a
more for us to talk about for sure.
definitely, definitely. I want to keep you, I don't want to keep you too long. I know I've been honoring, I want to honor your time. I know you're a busy woman. Can you tell me, is there anything that you can share with our audience about what has been helpful? You've already mentioned the Design Your Best Year Ever workshop. Is there anything you would share with anybody thinking about joining us inside the retailers?
Oh, well, I think how I think I found you as I was listening to another retail operations podcast, and yours came up on my feed. And for me, what helped me is because you're Canadian and I'm Canadian, so I think there's a certain uh, speak that we share. Maybe that's really easy for me to grasp without being a heightened retailer. You know, a small shop owner maybe is maybe more my realm. So I really related with you on that. And then you also hosted a really big creative community. There's a lot of shop owners I think that were similar to mine that really resonated. So I think just who your audience is and who you're catering to is very important to me. Yeah, I think everything that you offer is really helpful. The best year ever. I mean, I'm already planned to do that on January 4th. I've already marked that in my calendar to go through it all again. And the retail operation strategies and really building my CEO day has really helped me too. So all those tools I've gotten from you. So I constantly dive into what your resources are. And so it's all been very helpful. And I continue to rely upon you as a very good resource for me.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. And
Yeah.
I know we always have people on the fence. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're obviously growth mindset. That's what I always think. You're listening to this because you want education, or, people want education. And I try really hard to make it simple inside that inner circle. So because those were the resources I couldn't find. So, and again, back to that ripple effect. I am so excited when I see like you do, like when you opened your studio, it was like, yes, like that third location, that knew that was talked about a year ago, and then it
Yeah.
happened. I don't know why I get all like excited, and I don't know what, for everybody as
Well,
you're
I
listening.
think it's very solitary sometimes being a shop owner. And so
Mm,
I think you're kind of like my floor buddy. Like I can talk, when I'm listening to you, or when if I wanted to type out a question, you're very quick to answer. But it's kind of like, because you can offer your team, but again, you don't want to seem like you don't know what's going on. So
yes.
I don't want to say, do you think I should bring in dog food? Do you think that would be good? And they're like, Lisa, what are you talking about? Right? I'm not bringing in dog food. I'm just using that as an example.
Mosquito tires. Yeah, I know. So it's funny. Somebody just mentioned in the inner circle the other day, they said, they're 9 to 5 friends and neighbors and sisters and, cohorts don't like the people work like real jobs. They
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
they don't get what we do. So she was talking about how she had received like a ton of inventory, like all in one day, and had got it unloaded. She had a picture. There was unloaded, tagged, boxes down, boxes gone, everything was on the shelf. And she's like, I just needed to tell somebody who would get how cool this was. Like she was,
Exactly. I did it.
nobody
Exactly.
was like, my husband's like, whatever, and neighbors don't care. Anyway, I just thought it was funny. So
Oh, when my friends, when I say, well, you want to come up for dinner? And well, no, I got to turn the shop over. Okay,
yeah,
we'll come out later. I'm like, no, I'm going to be here for quite a while. I got to do it tonight.
you know, just put the clothes
One,
sign up.
can I mention the one podcast you did recently about the small shop local thing that you talked about, and I know that resonated.
About the pity parties?
Yes, the pity parties. Because I do have my friends sometimes. So how's it going, Lisa? How's it going? Is it okay, your little shop? We need to come up with a really good answer for that.
I know. I've shared on the podcast here before about my arts and craft. Like, it's like, oh, how's your arts and craft thing going?
Yeah.
Like when I was teaching, it's like, yeah, how's your little shop going? You know what? My little shop's going fine. Thank you very much.
We are great.
Yeah. And
We
I
are
do,
great.
on that note, so that podcast episode, that was a hot topic for a long time. I got a lot of negative feedback from that, meaning that like, people do want to shop local and we want to talk about it. And, we do hear a lot. And I think those of you listening, if you are doing well, I feel like we don't feel like we can talk about that we're doing well. Like, I don't feel like we can say, I'm rocking it. Like this, our small business is doing great, or our store is doing great. And this little hobby of mine, this little hobby project of mine is fine. Like we're doing great. What we do here is the news media of the negative. And that's always the way, right? We hear like, oh, another shop's closed, and shop local, and anyway, that whole thing is not my vibe.
Not my, when
North,
people ask, I say, we're doing great. And thanks to you. Thank you so much. Right. But I said, yeah, I would be here if I wasn't doing well.
the whole pity vote is,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
Thank you for that.
I will tell you as well too that I don't want to say the majority of people I work with, but like people there's a lot of really healthy retail out there. There's a lot of really healthy if they're doing the work. I mean, if we're doing the work, if you're looking at your numbers and you're paying attention and you're doing the hospitality bit and you're serving your customers and you're doing the work, it can be great. I mean, retail is great. You're not going to hear a podcast ever from me about how shitty retail is because it's just,
No,
I don't see it. So
no, I 100% agree.
lots of challenges, but lots of cool things happening too. So
Yeah,
yes,
we're very lucky to be doing what we want to be doing.
we are. Thank you. Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up. Well, what are you excited about? What's coming up next? What are you most excited about coming up this year for the Style Well?
I'm working at the studio, doing a cross, I guess it's not really a cross promotion, but I wanted to source vintage furniture and pieces, and I don't have the time and the ability. So I have a couple people that I work with, and one in particular very closely. So they're bringing their product into my studio space, and we're going to be doing it's going to be in January, kind of like a regular, and I don't want to use the word pop-up, and I'll have to come up with a better message around that. But basically the studio will be open for studio shows with this furniture alongside me and my pieces in a kind of more curated vintage. Again, I call it the collected well. So again, off the Style Well, it's called the collected well. And I've started showcasing a little bit of that online. And then we're going to do something more permanently in the studio space. And also in my studio space, I have a little space where I'd like to open up my own design studio where I can bring in fabric, book one-on-one consultations, do design work for clients under the umbrella of decor, not break down walls or choose tile. I'm the soft girl. I'm not the hardcore design person. So those two things are on the books for the new year. Yeah, and more pillows. I sell a lot of pillows. I have really great pillows. I love pillows.
You do. Your pillows are amazing. Yes.
Yeah. And and again, it's the easiest way to enhance a space. Like you can have that couch for 20 years and you put new pillows on it, it will look brand new. So more pillows, sourcing more pillows, and maybe working on some private label stuff too.
Have we thought of e-commerce? Because I know that's missing. I'm just curious. I'm just for purely selfish reasons. Have we thought about
it? It's a real it's again, it would take me off the shop floor, and it's a whole other business model that I'm really not prepared to invest time and energy in. I feel it would take me off my game a little bit, but I have a great person who works with me, and she's a photographer, and we've launched the Collected Well on the Style Well website. It's for local pickup only, but trying to figure out if there are simple ways to sell simple pieces of product in a manageable way, because I don't want to put one of a kinds on there all the time because that takes up so much time and energy. And I don't want anything to be returned, and I don't want to answer phone calls and emails from unhappy customers. Not that they would be unhappy, but I just perceive it to be a whole big bad world up there that I'm scared of. With Lewellyn, though, we have put our sweaters online. So those are shippable. Yeah. Because they'll break.
I do find it is a different business model, and we could have a whole other podcast about that. And kudos to you for, understanding that it's a different business model and not shitting on yourself about that. Like, I should do that, so let's go do that. Like, it's being thoughtful and intentional about how we're running our business, and it's working. So that could be something that's in an idea parking lot for a later date. Right?
Yeah, because you can't meet me online. You can only meet me in my shop.
Right.
So I think there's a vibe that's not always translatable, maybe. But if I find good stuff and I want to put online, then I will.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, anything else to share as we wrap up?
No, I think that's great. I'm so happy to chat with you. And obviously you can see I love talking, so I can talk about anything.
I do as well. So I'm laughing. We could probably talk for another. I'm like, oh, my editor is going to have to edit this. No, I'm just kidding. Chat. But thank you for being here. Truly appreciate you taking time. You have a beautiful shop. We are going to link up your Instagram, your Facebook, and your website on. And I want to encourage everybody to go follow you on Instagram. You do a beautiful job over there as well too. And both your stores. I'm going to link the clothing store as well too. So
thank you, Wendy. And thank you for building such a great community for us all to be part of.
Well, and thank you for being part of our community. I love having smart, intelligent, ambitious retailers inside the inner circle. So I appreciate you being in there. So we'll talk soon.
You. Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you were here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.